listeners who are blind, have low vision, or have another print disability which makes reading, holding a book, or turning a page difficult or impossible. The content is copyrighted by the respective publishers. For more information, please visit us on the web at nfradioreading.org.
Hi everybody, this is Jim Kohler, and for the next hour I'll be reading from the August issue of Sports Illustrated. It's all on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Okay, this August issue is a mighty thin one. Maybe people are on vacation at Sports Illustrated. It's from the Sports and Style section of Sports Illustrated. It's a magazine, but it's mostly 3/4 of it is about fashion and style, what athletes are wearing and what they're styling. In fact, on the front cover, we've got Joe Burrow, the quarterback from the Cincinnati Bengals. He's in this ice bath, it looks like, but he's pretty cool, although the title says Burr on it. He's got this maroon suit coat on, and he's got this big silver chain around his neck, and his hair is wet, and he's looking directly at you. Not a smile or anything, just a look of concern directed right at you. It looks like he's posed like a model. And that's what this issue is all about, sports and style. But there are a couple other articles that I'm going to lead off with that have to do with sports, okay? The cover article, though, is entitled Burr, Why Joe Burrow and Seemingly Every Other Athlete is So Immersed in Fashion. The article is written by Nick Remsen. Maybe I will go to that article right away, okay? It's going to be hard to, let's read it and then we'll see what happens, okay? Because there's a lot of photos in here about athletes and fashion, which, it's going to be hard for me to describe to you, okay? But the article hopefully will have something to do with it. So we'll go to the article, and if I've got time, I'll try and, describe some of the fashions that these athletes are wearing. Okay, I mentioned the cover. The feature article from the cover is entitled The Fit List. Sports and fashion are more intertwined than ever, with statement-making stars like Joe Burrow at the forefront of a movement where athletes are dominating our feeds and defining a new era of style influence. Once again, the article is written by Nick Remsen, and there are some photographs by Clay Patrick McBride. I'm going to describe the 2-page photograph that leads off the article, and I'll leave the other ones till later. It's a fashion article. It shows on the left side of the page, you've got Joe Burrow. He's wearing some jacket it's white, and it's got all these pieces of fruit or whatever, or pieces of flowers and stuff, and it's all embroidered onto this white jacket. He's turning to his left, and he's looking at us. You can't see his mouth because it's all enshrouded by smoke. He's got this big cigar in his right hand, and there's a whole mess of smoke coming out of it. The left side, or the right side of the 2-page photograph it must be the room that he's in. It's all dark, and you can see some portions of a wood wall. That must be in the studio that he's getting the photograph taken by. In fact, on the left side, they talk about the photograph itself. It says, shot at the Social House in Cincinnati. Styling is by Kyle Smith. Grooming is by Jatwan Henderson and Darnell Bonner. And I must admit, Burrow's hair looks very good. It's tousled. It's a very good style. Anyway, the shirt is by Zegna, and the jacket and pants are by Nahimius. Now, does that sound like Sports Illustrated, or does that sound like a Vogue magazine? Anyway, let's get to the article, the feature article. It's a muggy June morning in Cincinnati. Canadian wildfire smoke hangs in the humid air like pulp in soft focus, and the nearby Ohio River moves at an almost imperceptible crawl. Despite it being sunny, the sky is white, not blue. Even the open concrete-framed halls of Paycor Stadium are warm in this early hour. For the past 3 days, the Bengals have been holding a mandatory minicamp ahead of preseason. And as the team exits the field and heads to the locker room, some of the players bellow hoops into the heat of the arena's corridors. The camp has finished, and now it's time to get back to summer break. Joe Burrow, the Bengals Pro Bowl quarterback, is the last guy to come through the tunnel. He stayed outside to put in a little more work. There's other media around, mostly tossing questions at Coach Zach Taylor as to how minicamp has gone, or about the unresolved contract disputes between Bengals ownership and defensive ends Trey Hendrickson, who led the NFL in sacks last season, and Shamar Stewart, a rookie. Burrow sidesteps that pod and asked if I'd like to talk with him away from the fray while he's lifting. Well, the setting and the setup are unconventional. But apropos, given our topics of conversation, style, Burrow's prominent embrace of it, and the way fashion has become more tightly entwined than ever with sports in recent years. Over the past half-decade or so, these once disparate worlds have been pulled together by a heavier, more urgent gravity, and Burrow stands as one of the highest profile fixtures at the intersection. To a certain crowd, he might well be known more for his bold, fun, sometimes oddball outfits than for his arm. Here, inside the much cooler training facilities at Paycor, he's squat pressing hundreds of pounds and still in his practice penny, but talking about Gucci fits and getting away from classic suits. As far as sporting and sartorial spheres colliding goes, well, it doesn't get much closer than this. Burrow, who's 28, has made fashion waves for an aesthetic that he doesn't really label, preferring to keep it open-ended and mood-dependent. My sense of style varies day to day, he says. I wake up, I feel the color, and I find the fit that matches what I'm looking for. He describes his presentation simply as my own. Kyle Smith, one of Burrow's stylists, who in 2024 also became the NFL's very first dedicated fashion editor, later says with a laugh that Joe loves color in a way that I don't. It's a fun exercise to figure out what color of the day he's into. Smith then adds, he doesn't necessarily pay attention to what's trending or what everybody else is wearing, and that's what makes his style so unique. He is always doing his own thing. I think a big part of the Joe fandom is an appreciation of his fashion. or at least his individuality expressed through fashion. What Burroughs' instincts have totaled to is a sui generis look, and it is often ranges. One game, then, he might arrive in a knitted hoodie that's paneled in different hues. The next, a weighty black woven leather jacket from the luxe Italian label Bottega Veneta. And then the next, a matching zippered top and flared bottom set that is accented with wraparound wavy rainbow stripes. You know, I'm into decoration, flowers, butterflies, all that cool stuff, Burroughs says. He wears a lot of footwear from Rick Owens, the Californian-born independent designer known for his semi-Gothic and unorthodox approach. Likewise, there's diamonds and jewelry from the Houston-based Leo Kursol. In terms of fashion dislikes, Burroughs doesn't necessarily love shorts below the knee or the color red. Back in 2022, Burroughs posted an Instagram photo of himself in a black turtleneck, a mottled gray parka, and some rimless sunglasses from the French jewelry house Cartier. He captioned it with a lyric from the song Yes Indeed by Drake and Lil Baby. Cartier glasses, I won't even peek at you. The shades struck a chord online, and the image has racked up 1.6 million likes. They have since become a Burroughs signature. In 2024, Burroughs debuted close-cropped and bleached platinum hair, which he says he thought about adding some pink to. You know, it's not off the table in the future, he says. Well, all this has amounted to a singular style identity and has complemented, if not contributed to, the various nicknames that encapsulate his on-field poise, his laid-back demeanor and swagger. You know, Joe Burr, Joe Shiesty, and most commonly, Joe Cool. Anna Wintour, the chief content officer of Condé Nast and the global editorial director of Vogue, who is widely considered to be the fashion industry's most influential figure, says, you know, Joe always looks great. He has tons of confidence and is up for trying new things. That seems natural to who he is. It was wonderful to see him at the Met Gala this year in Gucci. Blue, it suited him. The Met Gala is the Metropolitan Museum of Art's annual fundraising event for its Costume Institute wing. And Burroughs' outfit in May, it included a slightly oversized Gucci double-breasted jacket rendered in heron blue, which he wore with, Cartier sunglasses. Also, as it happens, in the words of Wintour, her daughter, Bea Carrozzini, is a fanatical Bengals fan. Analytically speaking, Burroughs' wardrobe game is chameleonic, yet it does feature consistent pillars. It's polychrome. It usually only hints at his physique rather than showing off. And it's somehow nonchalant, yet equally totally self-assured. My mom was in fashion when I was little, says Burrell. So I was around it. I was always pretty particular about what I wore, like when we'd be school shopping. I didn't know anything. I just liked how the clothes felt and looked. I struggled with confidence when I was little. I was pretty uncomfortable in my own skin. And I think I was quiet and socially awkward. So I did express myself with colors and clothes. Burrell's mother, Robin, was a fashion buyer during her son's early youth. And despite Burrell's current deep industry access and pockets, she still has an eye for things her son might like or might have missed. And she'll send clothing or accessory gifts around Christmas or his birthday. Even though Burrell says he was interested in expressive clothing during his childhood, he entered his rookie season, this is back in 2020, wearing nothing but suits into games. And I just was, super uncomfortable, he says. I just simply don't enjoy wearing that kind of clothing all that often. I didn't like getting on a plane in a full suit, sitting there for 3 hours and not being comfortable. Thus, spurred by a need to satisfy, as Burrell puts it, utility, his style morphed, perhaps back toward its natural mode, into something more casual and street worthy, he does, however, still layer in modernized takes on suits. One example is a backless jacket made by the designer Peter Doe that Burrell wore to a viral discussion during a Vogue-produced fashion show in Paris last summer. Between 2020 and now, a starting to simmer change in perspective around the way men dress has turned into a white-hot paradigm shift, with professional male athletes among its most visible vanguard. Many are espousing individualistic flair and leaning on it to help forge their personas away from the field. The same, it's also true of female athletes. But generally speaking, fashion has long been closer linked to women than men. We are still in a nascent era of people like Burrell or Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, Francisco Lindor, or Lewis Hamilton, all using standout stylistic points of view to not only satisfy their own aesthetic preferences, but also to attract new eyes and amass bigger audiences. The skyrocketing of social media's influence during the COVID-19 era has helped with this exposure. I think the younger crowd is very for it, says Burrell. I also think different styles bring, a different demographic to the game. I think more young women or people who might not have known or cared about football at all beforehand are paying attention to what people are wearing in the tunnel. Maybe they see somebody wearing a Gucci fit into the game, and they're like, ooh, that's pretty cool. Who's that? And then they start paying attention. I do think it brings more fans in, honestly. Burrell's use of the word utility is interesting too, because with the brightening spotlight on athletes' taste, more major fashion brands have come calling. The industry is finding great use and profit in aligning with sports like never before. Louis Vuitton, the well-known French mega brand, announced in June that it is a new partner of Real Madrid's men's and women's soccer teams. Burberry, the British luxury label, they recently entered the tennis space by signing agreements with top 10 players Jack Draper and Tommy Paul. Prada moved quickly to dress Caitlin Clark at the 2024 WNBA draft. While this year, Coach struck a multi-year deal with the league to be its official handbag partner. And there are many, many, many more examples. Burrow himself has a partnership with Alo, the premium athletic apparel brand. Athletes are dominating the culture now. They are our heroes, our role models, and they define what's relevant, says Anna Wintour. And I think it's because there's nothing that can compete with the excitement of live sports. And athletes, they often have the confidence to step into different worlds, out of their comfort zones sometimes. In his fashion editor role with the NFL, Smith is tasked with managing and creating content for the league's social media platforms. In other words, helping players find their individual style and building relationships with fashion brands. He notes that, unlike influencers or traditional celebrities, who often make use of sponsored placements or loaned samples for photo opportunities, many athletes choose to buy their clothes for public appearances. In the NFL, the athletes can't be paid to promote something in the tunnel, so what they're wearing and what they are doing is authentic, Smith says. I think that authenticity is what consumers and audiences are desperate for. They want to know that someone genuinely believes in the product, and I think that's very powerful. To some amongst men's sports fan bases, seeing this sartorial evolution, and really this departure from long entrenched tenets of masculinity, it isn't always well received. There are always going to be keyboard warriors talking trash about how all the hype around style detracts from an athlete's focus. Burrow, he admits that he thinks some of the football traditionalists might be a little anti when he wears and generates buzz around an outfit that might be deemed unorthodox. Or that former Wrangler pitchman Brett Favre wouldn't look twice at. When asked if the reactions and comments ever get to him, he tilts his head as if the answer should be obvious. No, not at all. If I'm comfortable, if I feel good, then I like it, he says, before crouching down for another set of presses. Though there is a burgeoning focus on highlighting players' personalities and passions away from the stadium, a helmets-off strategy, as the NFL's Senior Vice President of Social, Influencer, and Content Marketing, Ian Trombetta, has said, football comes first. The game is the job in the end. It's a grind. It's monotonous. But it's what I love to do, says Burrell, when asked about what he might be preparing differently, or not, going into this fall. Expectations are high this year. The Bengals, they just missed the playoffs with a 9-8 record last season. Yet, Burrow was the league passer, or the league leader in passing yards, 4,918, and touchdown passes with 43. Burrow suggests that he's thinking about the day-to-day during the offseason, but he's cognizant of calibrating a balance and disciplining a stronger pattern into it. I do tweak my workout routines every year and my travel schedule, trying to figure out what's best to give my body a break, he says. I mean, if you can't develop a routine and stick to it, then you're not going to be able to do your best on Sundays. That's in my opinion. I've never seen anybody that doesn't have a very disciplined routine go out and be great. Now, it doesn't mean it's not possible, but it's certainly not possible for me. Within this regimen, he is conscious to bake in things like eating right, hanging out with friends. This summer, that may include a fossil hunting trip to Wyoming, and also valuable time off. Might Burrow's extracurriculars ever include his own foray into clothing design? We've seen it in the crossover before, and Burrow already consults with Elo on custom pieces, but these, they don't go to market. Maybe when I have a little bit more time on my hands, I'll have a brand where I work with multiple designers, Burrell says. Down the road, that would be cool. Ultimately, Burrow's outlook on the dovetailings of sports and style is rooted in what he sees as a shared inventiveness. They operate in completely different worlds, but designers and athletes, we're both artists in our own ways, he says. Theirs is with clothes, and ours is with our bodies. There's a lot of creativity in what we do. It's definitely different realms, but there are very creative people in both. I feel that it's just a natural merging. Okay, I got time to describe a couple of the photographs that are accompanying this article. I've already talked about two of them. There's another one, a full-page photograph. It shows Burrow. He looks like he's got on a blue jacket, a leather jacket, and he's looking down. He's putting on his sunglasses, and he's just got a T-shirt underneath the jacket. Of course, his hair is all styled and everything. In fact, next to this photograph, there's a little note: shirt, jacket, and sunglasses by Prada. That's one photograph. Here's another photograph here. He's looking directly at us. It looks like he's got a big men's handbag. He's holding it in his right hand. He's got on a longer, it looks like a type of a raincoat. It's over some black shorts and a black shirt, knit shirt. The raincoat looks like a deep lavender. Behind him is a wall that has all these, little circles. They're not quite circles. They're squarey kind of circles. Anyway, he's looking directly at us, and yes, his hair is curled. And next to the photograph, there's a notice: the coat is by Gucci, the shirt is by John Varvatos, the shorts by Dhruv Kapoor, and the bag is by Alo. This is from the Met Gala in New York City. That's where he was when this photograph was taken. Then there's, let's see here, 4 other very, very small photographs showing him at the sidelines of a basketball game in his styling white pants and sneakers and a short jacket that's lavender. There he is with a suit coat. Actually, it's a suit, which is very rare for him. And his Gucci sunglasses. He's at a car show, it looks like. But he's got white sneakers on to go with the blue suit. I can't get it. And then there's another one of him in a sports shirt with his, Gucci or Prada sunglasses. He's looking out into the field. It's a sports shirt, like when you relax. And then there's a 2-page photograph. Once again, lavender, dark lavender is his color, I guess. He's holding a drink, or maybe it's a glass of water with a lime and a straw in it, and he's looking directly at us. He's not full. He's kind of turned to one side, and it just shows him in the suit coat, lavender, of course, and that's it. I don't believe he's got any shirt on underneath it. And yes, his hair is all styled and curly, and he's looking directly at us. And what does it say? Oh, the suit is by Aloe, and he says, "I'm into decoration, flowers, butterflies, and all that cool stuff," says Burrell of his style and preferences. And then there's a couple other little photographs. One of him looks like he's going into the tunnel before a game. There's another one where he's walking, probably at the Met Gala, and he's just got a black suit coat, kind of like coat, nothing on underneath it. You're just walking on the runway, maybe. And then what else here? He's in the middle with a couple of his buddies, flashing the hand signs and everything with his sunglasses on. He's got a white T-shirt, and above that, he's got on his purple, suit coat, looking directly at us with his buddies on his side. And then there's one real good photograph that I have to describe. It's actually a portrait. It would be a beautiful portrait. It's a full-page photograph, and it's well lit from the side, softly lit. He's got on that jacket that's white with all those flowers and butterflies embroidered on it. Underneath it, he's got on probably a very expensive and well-fitting T-shirt. And all you see is it's basically a head and just a little bit of his shoulders. It's just that, a head and shoulder shot. And he's directly looking at us. As I said, well lit from the side. And his hair is beautifully styled and everything. It's a great portrait. A very good looking man. The shirt is by Zegna and the jacket by Namias. Okay, that's the photographs that I tried to describe of Joe Burrell that accompanied this article. Now, before I continue on with a little side article that comes with this article, I've got to remind you that you are listening to a reading of articles and features from Sports Illustrated, and it's all on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Okay. Here's the little side article that accompanies this feature article. The article itself is entitled 8 Who Dress to the Nines. As sports and fashion continue to collide, these trend-setting stars have distinguished themselves as the world's most stylish. And let me see here. It looks like there's 3 women and 5 men. I'll try to describe the outfits they're wearing. Okay, they're just little photographs. Okay, it takes up maybe one whole page, all 8 of them. First, we come with SGA Shai Gilgeous-Alexander for the NBA. Many would argue the NBA's reigning MVP is also its MFP, most fashionable player. He takes sartorial risks and is often spotted with coveted, hard-to-get pieces like limited edition luxury bags or trousers from popular Malibu-based label Chrome Hearts. And he's pictured with one of these bags. It's yellow off his shoulder. He's wearing this real big jacket coat that it's all furry, big lapels on it, big white one. And he's got a white t-shirt with jewelry around his neck and white slacks with yellow sneakers as he's strolling around. Oh, yes, he does have sunglasses on. Let's go to our next, Coco Gauff from tennis. The two-time Grand Slam winner wins major style points. Her offhand, cool aesthetic has caught the attention of luxury brands such as Miu Miu. Earlier this year, Gauff oversaw a much-hyped collaboration between that label and her primary sponsor, New Balance. And her photo shows her holding a trophy. She has it on this very, very short brown skirt. She's got a nice starched shirt that she's wearing. It's underneath a blue blazer. And she's got on ankle-length white socks. And I don't know if those are shoes or sneakers. They might be New Balance sneakers. And she's looking directly at us, holding the trophy with a nice smile on her face. Next up, Lewis Hamilton, Formula One driver. Dapper, yet always on trend and unafraid of bold moments, the Ferrari driver's fashion credentials run deep. A longtime style icon in F1, Hamilton has his own clothing brand, Plus 44, and has served as a co-chair of the 2025 Met Gala in New York City. And Lewis is shown wearing some black or dark blue pants over some dark black sneakers or shoes, platform shoes maybe. He's holding a white bag, and he's got, let's see here, a white t-shirt underneath a blue and white jacket, a flowery jacket. And of course, Lewis is wearing his sunglasses. Here's a guy who isn't wearing sunglasses, Stefon Diggs from the NFL. Remember him with the Bills? Well, anyway, the Patriots wide receiver is one of the league's foremost fashion plates. In addition to his own venture, a luxury label called Liam, Diggs is forward-thinking with his wardrobe, wearing items such as a kilt, a boiler suit, and a cropped sweater for game arrivals. And for this photo, he's pretty conservative with this one. He's wearing some black trousers with some dark brown shoes, regular shoes, and just a regular a long sleeve top with a white collar. It almost looks like a sweater with a white shirt underneath. Very basic, and no sunglasses. Next up, we got Sha'Carri Richardson. She's a track star. The two-time Olympic medalist is not afraid to run in a kaleidoscopic palette, including everything from dip-dyed hair to patterns, pastels, and long decorative nails. Off the track, she wowed in a two-tone Valentino gown at this year's Met Gala. And there's a small picture of her in that gown. It's a very nice off-white with a little design on the side. Shows off her tattoos on her left arm. Her long black hair is styled just behind her ears. She's got on some lovely earrings and rings, and also her very long nails. They don't bother you when you're running track, I guess. Our next male is Francisco Lindor from the Major League Baseball. The Mets shortstop is arguably one of baseball's most fashionable. He's known for mixing and matching pieces that complement one another to create a full, singular look. Mr. Smile has even worked with Gucci on a custom baseball glove. And he's pictured wearing, let's see here, they almost look like sweats, but I think they're many washed light blue jeans over white sneakers. He's got on a white t-shirt. You know, these white t-shirts, they're all probably well-fitting and probably all very expensive. Anyway, over that white t-shirt, he's got on a very nice short-cut brown jacket, leather jacket, very nice. And he's holding in his left hand a gold-looking bag. It's bigger than a regular handbag for a woman, but it's a gold bag. And yes, he does have his sunglasses on. Next up, we got from the WNBA, Satua Sabally. The Mercury forward's approach to style combines body-conscious silhouettes and oversized pieces to create a casually cool impression on her 6'4" frame. No matter the ensemble, Sabally always wears her looks with unmatched confidence. And she's pictured wearing, it looks like a long one-piece hooded blue dress, form-fitting, long sleeves, and as I said, it's hooded. It goes down beyond her knees to almost her ankles, and she's wearing either some dark brown or black flat heeled shoes. And finally, we got William Nylander from the NHL. The Maple Leafs forward has earned his Willie Styles moniker with a sharply tailored fits in both neutrals and hues like lavender and emerald green, except during the playoffs, where, out of superstition, he wore the same brown suit 4 games in a row. And he is pictured wearing a sweater over a dark gray or light brown, it's hard to tell, a turtleneck. And he's got some pale brown sneakers on, and his trousers, they're very loose-fitting, either brown or black. And he is not wearing sunglasses. So there are 8 who dress to the nines. Sports fashion colliding together with these 8 athletes. Okay, what do we got here? I've got 15 minutes left, it looks like, and that's not going to be enough, I think, to read a feature article. Give me a minute here, and I'll try and see what I can fit in. You know, we're talking about style and fashion and everything with today's athletes. At the end of this magazine, the last page, it's from our Point After section, and this is apropos. It's entitled Runway Joe. It's a photograph of Joe Namath in front of his locker, and I'll describe it in just a second. But first, it says, Joe Burrow's style sense is one of a kind. That's clear from this issue's cover and the story that begins on page 20. But his vibe is not totally unprecedented. A half a century ago, another celebrity QB named Joe helped bridge the world of sports and fashion. He was the NFL's original Joe Cool, but Joe Namath stayed extremely warm with his collection of voluminous fur coats, like the one he's wearing in this picture. In 2017, Namath explained his fashion philosophy to Tuscaloosa magazine. You know, I think we all want to feel good with what we have on. It expresses something about ourselves, our mind, and our way of life, what we are. I mean, it should, anyway. And there it is. There's a photograph, full-page photograph of Joe Willie. He's got a beanie on, and yes, he does have sunglasses on, and he's got this big woolly jacket coat over his shirt, and he's wearing white Nike sneakers, and just regular jeans on below. He's looking off into the distance, maybe talking to a reporter. Yeah, Joe Broadway, Joe Willie Namath, our first fashion athlete. Who knows? Okay, let's go to this article. I think I can fit this one in. It's entitled, "I'll Stick Around." Power programs, they often lure up-and-comers in the mid-majors with NIL offers and greater exposure. But Illinois State's stars bucked this nomadic norm. Chase Walker asked to meet with his coach at Illinois State, Ryan Pedon, in March. The Redbirds were about to start play in the CBI tournament, a reward for their first winning season since 2018-19. Walker requested that Pedon's wife Stephanie be present, and Walker's parents joined via Zoom. Pedon knew what this was about. Walker, a first-team All-Missouri Valley Conference big man, as a sophomore, was weighing some transfer options. Power Conference schools have been trying to lure him away for months with offers of larger NIL compensation and greater exposure than he could get at a mid-major. You know, as coaches, we're all aware of what is going on underneath the surface throughout the second half of the season, at least, says Pedon. There are players who already know what they're going to make next year at their next school. In a reversal of the nomadic norm in college basketball's free transfer era, Walker called the meeting to tell everyone he was staying put. The gathering ended in tears of joy from Stephanie Pedon and also Walker's parents. People asked why I would stay, Walker says. I flipped it to, why would I leave? You know, we're building something here. I don't need all that money right now. Give me a basketball gym and a place to stay with a PlayStation, and it's all good. Well, that was just the beginning of Illinois State's trend-busting spring, when a whopping 7 of Walker's teammates chose to stay with him. That including his 2 roommates, guard Johnny Kinzinger and wing Ty Pence. The trio, who came in together in 2023, had all received transfer offers from higher-profile schools. We just sat down and were real with each other, Kinzinger said. We're all really happy where we are, and we want to be a part of something special together. The 6'9" Walker weighed nearly 400 pounds at one point in high school. His talent buried beneath excess weight. The top programs, they weren't interested in him, and neither were most of those a rung below. While dropping pounds and remaking his body, Walker's college choice came down to Toledo, Liberty, and Illinois State. Pedon plotted a redshirt year to allow Walker more time to get in college basketball shape. Well, injuries changed those plans 15 games into Walker's freshman season. This is back in 2023-24. Playing at around 300 pounds, Walker flashed his potential, then kept slimming down to his playing weight of 270 for his sophomore season. He leveled up, averaging 15.2 points and 6.2 rebounds in just 24.3 minutes per game. And then he upped his scoring to 20 points per game in the Redbirds' run to the CBI title. You know, he's ridiculously strong, Padan says. He's a football helmet away from the NFL. Hence, the high major tampering. Power programs that had no interest in Walker 2 years earlier, they were now waving money in his face. In the Valley, a proud conference that saw teams win games in 9 of the last 13 NCAA tournaments, well, this has become a bitter rite of spring. High major programs, they come poaching the league's top players and coaches, sometimes as package deals. This year, Iowa hired Drake's first-year coach, Ben McCollum, and they got his star point guard, Bennett Sturts, as well. Well, last year, Drake lost coach Darian DeVries and his standout son, Tucker, to West Virginia. And both now are at Indiana. Indiana State's 2024 team and NIT finalist that won 32 games, they lost coach John Schertz, guard Isaiah Swope, and big man Robbie Avila to St. Louis. Guard Julian Larry and forward Jason Kent, they went to Texas. And guard Ryan Conwell, he went to Xavier. You know, we're as vulnerable as any league in the country, Padan says. The Valley named 16 players to its 3 all-conference teams this year, and 5 of the 8 with remaining eligibility entered the transfer portal. Now, the 3 who didn't, Trey Campbell of Northern Iowa, and the 2 Redbirds, Walker and Kinzinger. Like Walker, Kinzinger was overlooked in recruiting by the Midwest high major schools. He chose Illinois State over Green Bay. He moved into the starting lineup late in his freshman season, and he led the team in minutes played last year while averaging 14.6 points per game. Kinzinger weighed transfer options with his family this spring, but he finalized his decision to stay put while playing a round of golf with Redbirds assistant coach Andrew Dakich. They drove from the course to Padan's house to give him the news. Johnny was the last one, Walker says. When I heard that he was staying, I was smiling ear to ear for a week and a half. Ah, yes, after surviving portal poaching season, fully stocked Illinois State is setting its sights on a MVC title run and its first NCAA tournament bid since 1998. They understand that, yes, there is value in legacy and their longevity at a place, Padan says. Something that's not talked about enough in this is what's best for the kids in the long run. I mean, where are they going to go to homecoming when they're 40? What letter jacket are they going to wear? If you're always moving around, where do you belong? This article was written by Pat Ford, and there's another article With regards to this one, which I wish I had more time to read, also written by Pat Ford, that talks about, well, all the stuff that's happening, not just in college basketball, in college sports. It's definitely a business, always was, but even more so now. With name, image, and likeness, money's being thrown around, and then on top of that, you got the transfer portal where guys can go here, there, and everywhere. I mean, it's a tough job for a coach who wants to stay in one place, but money talks, I guess. By the way, there's a half-page photograph here of Walker putting up a shot over another center wearing his Cardinal blue Illinois State jersey uniform. Let's see here. And he's a lefty. He was putting up the shot left-handed. Okay, what do I got left here? I got a minute and a half. Okay, I don't have time to go to another article, but I will describe a couple articles that I am planning on reading next week. And they're both from the scorecard section. The one is from their history part of scorecard. It's entitled Overdue Return. And it's all about a pitcher that was hit with the whatever you call it, scandal way back in 21 around there, give or take. And then there's another article about a former Major League Baseball All-Star who is thriving in retirement. Who is that? I don't know here. Dexter Fowler. Okay. So hopefully I'll get both of those articles in, because I am going to read the rest of the fashion part of this magazine. They talk about, in the article, they talk about what different athletes are wearing as far as custom T-shirts. And there's a whole mess of them that are described here on the two pages that lead to the article. And let's see, there's another one, a fashion article that, yes, talks about the ladies, especially the ladies of the WNBA. That should be interesting. Great photographs with this. So I'll probably lead off with that one next week. It's entitled Strut It Down. Interesting. Good looking photographs. Okay, until that time next week, I've got to tell you that you've been listening to a reading of articles and features from the August issue of Sports Illustrated. We read from Sports Illustrated every Saturday at 8 p.m. in your reader. Once again, it's been Jim Kohler. I want to thank you very much for listening. Have yourselves a great weekend, and you know what, even better, have yourselves a great week.
Coming up next, the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service, we have The Athletic, a section from the New York Times. Following that at 10 o'clock, we have Vanity Fair, and at 11 o'clock, we have episode number 15 of Lorne by Susan Morrison. Stay with us for these readings and more. following program is intended for listeners who are blind, have low vision,